I'm Greg with Zero Envy, developers of BEM ToolBox. We're on a mission to modernize BEM data reporting. In this video, I'm going to show you our latest tool, an automated LEED energy model report for IESVE software that will replace your manual workflows, improve your QA/QC process, and let you spend more time making buildings better. We're in beta right now, working with trusted partners on final testing, while IES works on getting the new interface scripts reviewed and loaded into the IES content store. Okay, now are you ready for a demo? Here's an energy model for a project pursuing LEED v4 certification. The model is complete and we've generated simulation results, all using VE's 90.1 2010 PRM Navigator. The IES content source script package will come with its own section within the VE Python scripts navigator, like our other two packages that you see here. But for now, I will run it this way. All right, here's our brand new interface just for this LEED energy model report. You can edit project info that'll show up in the report. Gross floor area will pre-populate, but you can review and edit that as you need to. If you use the PRM Navigator, you just need to select your proposed model and it'll match your baseline simulation results and your two HVAC system files. So this version of the report supports LEED v4 and then LEED v4 with the 2024 energy update. Selecting none skips the LEED point section of the report, so you could use it for non-LEED focused reporting if you'd like. We offer a few different performance metrics that are all the different options available in v4 2024. If you only have v4, you only need energy costs, but let's look at all of these. For US projects, we have default rates available and populated in alignment with LEED guidance on those rates and sources. If you're outside the US or would like to customize these, then you can use custom and edit and enter your rates through the interface. I'm going to leave all our renewables allocated to tier 1 on-site, and let's generate a report. Okay, the report should generate and then open in your default browser on bemtoolbox.com. Quick orient, we have a new nav bar along the left that shows the different sections that are in the report. You can see it's quite comprehensive. We go through all sorts of model inputs, and then we get into results, performance metrics, LEED points with some optimization across the metrics as appropriate for your LEED version, and then QA checks. I'm not going to go in detail through all of this. We will make some of these example reports available so you can check them out via public links. But yeah, let's dig in. So project information. So some of the summary stuff that you saw in the interface, model snapshot, 3D rendering that gets grabbed, and you can choose to update that every time or save your own if you want. One note on baseline simulation results: if you do have 4 orientations required for your project, it will list all 4 of those there. So we didn't need to, so just one baseline results file there. Site and climate data is coming from app locate inside VE. Latitude, longitude, you can update if you want and get a more accurate version of this map. Otherwise, it will default in VE to where the weather station lat long is. Envelope, we start with some comparisons. So between baseline and proposed with some aggregated data. So this is showing you the UA by surface type. And so this is net areas, basically an area weighted average U factor, which is what this table is, just different units in the graph. Fenestration by orientation, comparing weighted average solar heat gain coefficient between the two models. Then we get into details. In this details section, we're repeating each table for each of the baseline and then the proposed model. So we get more details there. We did have an earlier version that had layer by layer for each of these constructions. We pulled that. We thought it was too much. If you would like to see that in the report, maybe as an option, let me know in the comments. Love to hear the feedback there. I'm going to jump ahead to space data. Here we've got a few new KPI cards that are showing up at the top of this section, just with high level relevant data. So if we look at lighting power density, we see the proposed average is 0.54 watts per square foot. And then the little bar graphs here are showing that there's quite a bit of savings in the proposed versus the baseline model. EPD, we don't see those savings or difference because that's unregulated and those are the same. So the text here, first table below, summarizes space data that is equal between the baseline and proposed models. So the data in this table is summarized by for all the rooms, which you can see here, and summarized by the thermal template in VE that's assigned to those rooms. So it'll show you either a sum or an area weighted average, depending on the property in here. And then once we get to the next table, so this one is showing you differing values between baseline and proposed. And these are smart. They'll update based on if a value is the same between the two models. It's in the first table. Lighting is the one that's commonly different. And so you can see here, this first conference space type, the baseline's different value than the proposed. You can see them side by side. Ventilation rates, we also have some minor differences in certain space types. So that's why that's broken out in this second table. Exterior lighting should be straightforward. Airside HVAC, we also have some nice helpful KPIs that are all per square foot basis here. Again, showing you proposed versus baseline. Summary table, again, here as well. Cooling coils with capacity and efficiency between the models and the different types. So here we don't have VRF systems in the baseline model. So, just the dashes there indicating it's not applicable. After the system comparison section, we get into details that will give you system by system information. We have systems with cooling and heating data, and then the next table gets into airflow and fan power. And one thing to note here, if you have like a VAV reheat system, here's one, there's a central part of the system and then a zonal part of the system. So in the prototype systems, anything that's within a multiplex in VE ends up getting reported as zonal, and everything outside of the multiplex in that system's, still in the gray box is central. If you do have components floating off not within a prototype system, it gets reported under an other. So this may be like a modeling workflow that you want to change to be able to group those components within a system so it can be reported properly. That's up to you. Water side has, information for each loop. I'm not going to go too much into detail here. Should match what's in VE to the level that we can get this data out of the API. This is an area that, IES is still working on developing. Renewable energy systems, we have freestanding PV panels. So we have data on both the panels in quantities and orientation, and then as well as that monocrystalline silicon panel type and its properties as defined in VE. Schedules, I'll just show you the first one. So we'll show, some summary info in this first table, and then what makes up the weekly schedule with day schedules here. And then the graph is showing, the unique day schedules and the name of that on an hourly basis. So it gives you a useful visual snapshot there. Jumping ahead into energy results, this is where it gets pretty exciting. So energy results is focused on site energy and EUI only. So this is more, raw data coming out of the model before applying any performance metrics or factors. More useful for QA/QC. More of the breakdowns are happening here. You can use this button to, filter by energy source, or you can view it all together. So your, common stacked bar chart. This is sorted savings. So you can see most of our savings are coming from space heating on this project. And then we have an hourly breakdown, monthly breakdown between the baseline and proposed models here. And these are dynamic. So if you want to look at, just certain end use categories, you can kind of filter that view them that way if you'd like. So if you just want to look at HVAC, heating and cooling, you can, toggle these and do that. Same information, but tabulated, baseline energy and demand versus proposed and the savings between those. If you want, you can download that to a CSV file. Some of the bigger tables we're adding this feature, most of them, are actually pretty copy paste friendly right out of the HTML file. If you want to see more of that, let us know. I'm going to skip through a couple of these as they're straightforward. So in the building energy consumption, we're reporting what we're calling building energy is basically everything excluding renewable energy. And then once we get to this section, the net is where we're adding building consumption and renewable generation. And then the line is the net here. So this is showing you the breakdown by tier as we allocated it in that interface. And then we get into performance metrics. So you can see here the percent savings in the different metrics that were evaluated. So site energy is the kind of the raw native metric. And then we had those 4 other performance metrics that we populated with default values based on what was in BEM ToolBox, and again in alignment with LEED. Tabular format here. I'm just going to show you energy costs. You can switch between these, show all of them if you'd like. On the energy cost side, so the utility rates, this is basically if you were to customize these in the interface, this is basically how that input would look, except you could enter the different values and the description here. So we show you the utility rates that are being used, the net electricity, so adding renewables here, if applicable in that LEED version, depending on the tier. And then, the multiplication. So energy consumption times the rate equals the cost. And that, again, gets applied to all of those. This project was LEED v4, so more straightforward, only using energy cost. But we are, doing the point lookup. We're breaking out how much of the savings are coming from building efficiency versus the pretty large renewable energy system on this project, the percent savings, and then where those point thresholds are for optimized energy performance using the energy cost metric, and then also renewable energy production. And we evaluated here renewable energy production V4.1 yielded more points than the standard renewable energy credit from V4. So we actually used that. You can disable that in the interface if you don't want to look at a V4.1 credit substitution. We tend to do that on all our projects, just in case you can get some more points there. Quality assurance checks, standard unmet load hours table. And then this one we're pretty excited about. We implemented all of the QA/QC checks from the MEPC, except ours are working well. If you wanted to just look at the ones that are flagged, review this and have a narrative explanation for these flagged items. We added numbering so that you could, make a little memo or a spreadsheet, put the number in, add your response, attach this. And then last but not least, you get to the bottom, we can create a public link, and then I can click this icon. It copies that link to my clipboard. I can paste that in an email or chat or what have you, send it to a colleague, client, and then they can view a public version of this. We call it public link because anybody can access it, and you don't have to be logged into BEM ToolBox. So it won't, you can't go back and look at other things. It'll just be this instance of the report. But the dynamic web version is a lot nicer than the PDF. However, if you do want to download, save a PDF, send an attachment, we do provide that ability as well. So you can download that. And it's, a flat, not quite as nice version, but it's there. And there you have it, our new game-changing report for anybody working on LEED projects using IESVE software. I'd love to hear what you think, either down in the comments or shoot us an email with the email address you can find at bemtoolbox.com. All right, now go get some work done.